When the fire went out, the earth was trembling and cold. Winds carried silence. We were a flicker in the long dark, a few thousand souls huddled on the great continent of Africa, with a few small bands scattered across the southern coasts of Asia. We walked, we carried our tools, our children, and the embers of our memory. Each step was a promise whispered against the wind. We will endure. At night, we gathered close. The fire was our heart, and in its light, the old ones spoke. They wove tales of the sun, of the great beasts, and of the time before the cold. Their words were a blanket against the endless dark. Our mothers were the keepers of life. With knowing hands, they ground roots into flour, gathered herbs for healing, and saved the last precious seeds in pouches of hide. They held the future in their palms. To live, we took life. We tracked the great beasts across the ice, our breath pluming in the frigid air. The hunt gave us strength, but it also took from us. We mourned our fallen, their spirits joining the stars, and we carried on. Then, slowly, the world breathed again. The great ice sheets wept, and their tears became rivers. The sun warmed the frozen soil, and from the thaw, the first green shoots of grass emerged, a sign of forgiveness, a new beginning. We found shelter in the earth's bones. On the cave walls, we placed our hands, leaving our mark in red ochre. We painted the spirits of the hunt and the shape of our dreams. We were here. We survived. This was our proof. We walked out into a changing world. From Africa's heartland and Asia's southern shores, we followed the new rivers, crossed the greening plains, and climbed the sunlit mountains. We carried the stories, the seeds, and the fire. We were few, but we were the ancestors of all to come. Millennia passed like seasons. Our children's children built cities of glass and steel. Their fires were caged in wires, their skies filled with artificial light. They walked on paved earth and forgot the feeling of soil beneath their feet. They forgot the cold. They forgot us. Yet the memory remains, a whisper in the blood. When you look into a reflection, who do you see? Look closer, past your own face, past the centuries of forgetting. See our eyes in yours. Remember the fire we kept for you. Remember that what was almost lost can be lost again. The Great Thaw brought not just life, but also flood. As the world's ice melted, the seas rose, swallowing coastlines and river valleys. For our ancestors who lived by the water, it must have seemed as if the entire world was drowning. They would have passed down stories of this terrifying time, a great flood that wiped out almost everyone. Could these ancient memories, passed down through countless generations, be the seed of later myths? Stories like the Epic of Gilgamesh or Noah's Ark, tales of a great flood, and a handful of survivors who repopulated the world. Perhaps they are not just stories, but the echoes of a time when humanity almost vanished, saved by a few who kept the fire burning through the long dark.
And it's getting harder, because the world is getting darker. And it's, it's not just in the US, but this swing to the far right, which is harming the environment so terribly. We're in the midst of the sixth great extinction. We've got climate change, and everywhere I go, things are different.
Yeah, I think if anybody reads about those other 5 extinction events, you don't want to be a part of those. You don't want to be around for when those happen. It's not pleasant for anyone.
It would be horrible. That's why action must be now.